What time is it? It's MLS Fantasy time. Game week 10 is done and dusted, gone and goodbye. Ashes to ashes, Ryan to gold. We're on to week 11 now. It was another week of chaotic and unpredictable results. I hope your teams fared well or at least managed to survive the madness. I will show y'all what fate befell my team in just a moment, and then after that we will hit the tier list for the player rankings, and then I'll build my team for the weekend. Last couple things before we start. As always, Pancake is hanging out. If you do hear any dog or dog-related noises, you know who to blame. And keep in mind, when we get to the tier list, if a player isn't included, it's because they're either hurt or I'm just really not interested in them this week, or I forgot to put them in. But I do think I got everybody again this week. I have a forgetting, but I think I got it this week. Lastly, please feel free to like and subscribe, and I sure do appreciate it. Let's go ahead and get on to how my team did last week. It was a pretty solid week. I got 111 points. We'll start with the keepers and get on to the defenders. I know I have a lot of explaining to do for this one. I can't remember. I can never remember exactly how I set my team up last week during the video. It always seems to change a lot come Saturday. I think, I remember now. Oh, yeah. So I remember in the video last week, because I got annoyed when I realized it later, is I was talking about Pencil, and I was like, I have a thing with Pencil this week, but I'll explain it later, and then I never did. I didn't have him in my team, but I wanted to. But the only way to get him in with my budget was to go super, super, super cheap on the goalkeepers. I was hoping that Hagen would start for Columbus, so I decided to roll the dice and spend the cash to get Pencil in, and then stick Hagen on my bench, no keeperoo, and hope that Hagen ends up starting. Now, this play did not work out in like any fashion, because Pencil didn't do very well, and then Hagen didn't start, and so I had no choice aside from downgrading Mikael or Martins, which I really didn't want to do, to not just going with Yarbrough. So I decided to roll the dice and take William Yarbrough, and honestly, it worked as good as it possibly could have. 3 points is, I think, really the zenith of what he was capable of. Big ups, William Yarbrough, 3 points. Very happy with it. My alternative would have been Gaiese, and obviously that wouldn't have worked at all. So it paid off in the end. Very strange. Thiago Martins, I know last week I rambled on for quite a while about how now I'm not really hunting clean sheets, I'm hunting bonus points. With Martins, that did pay dividends because the New York City clean sheet was busted, and out of all the players or defenders, Martins made out with the most points. So 4 points for him, very happy with that. Brooks Lennon got the clean sheet, ended up with 8. He was 10 before points correction. This is the second or third week in a row that come points corrections he's been downgraded quite a bit. Mikael didn't quite work out. Houston had the red card in like the 5th minute, and it's just kind of a doomed project from there. It's kind of bad luck. We'll go on to the midfielders. Thiago Almada didn't do anything that game, but made off with 7 points. His floor is finally back to where it kind of was last year, which is nice. Santi did great. He had 8 points. They didn't give him his assist until Monday morning following the points correction. I was very stressed about that, but 8 points, pretty good. Acosta is back, I think 100%. He's a blue chip fantasy prospect once again. 11 points for him. Buonga had a good week. He's got an amazing floor, too. 10 points. He's killing it on the BPs right now. Messi did what he does. Benteke, that was a big hit. 14 points off the bench. And then Ricky Pooch with a 7. He's still pretty much got one of the best floors in the game. So 111, pretty happy with it. Can't complain. But I'm still hunting, I feel like, the perfect week. I think I'm going to get it one of these weeks coming soon where the defender strategy is going to pay off fully. Let's go ahead and get onto the tier list for this week. So we'll start with goalkeepers, go to defenders, mids, then forwards as always. I think I added in a new tier this week. We've got S tier, good option, fun pup, budget friendly, and maybe, but probably not. So we'll go ahead with goalkeepers. Sean Johnson from Toronto, I think, is a good option. They are hosting Dallas. Their defense at home has been pretty solid. Dallas's offense isn't great. I don't know if they're going to have Jesus Ferreira back. If Ferreira starts, then I am a little bit more nervous about it, but I still give Toronto a good shot. Let's get on to Joe Willis. He's a good budget option, I think, this week for sure. He's like, I want to say, I'm not sure. He's either a low to mid 5, or he might even be like 4.9. I know I could just look it up, but I'm gonna just speculate. Either way, he's cheap. Nashville's at home. They're hosting somebody not great that I can't think of off the top of my head. They're hosting Montreal. Montreal, just all their forwards are hurt. And even Mason Toy picked up a knock last week. So their forward situation is kind of in shambles right now. If Zimmerman starts for Nashville, then I actually really like Willis this week. Their defense has really struggled this year, but definitely a budget-friendly option. Another budget-friendly option, if he starts, is Ivicic. He has transferred to New England. He was allegedly going to start last week against Inter Miami, but he was one of the players who picked up, who got sick with, I'm just going to call it mesothelioma. But he's like 5.5, I think, right now. I think there's a good chance he starts. They're playing Chicago in Chicago. Chicago have not had a shot on target in 3 games. I know New England is bad, like straight up, and their defense is bad straight up, but I don't mind the matchup. Chicago are a team that I am really targeting right now. I did it last week to kind of mixed results, but I kind of like this matchup for New England. If New England are going to have a good game anytime soon, this might be it. Again, budget option. I don't mind Ivicic this week. I think he's a decent. He double as a fun punt, but I think he's a decent pick. I'm going to put Clark in a good option. Steve Clark. I think his price has even dropped a little bit the last couple weeks, so he's a hair more affordable. I think now at like 6.9. Houston is hosting St. Louis. I still have a lot of confidence in Houston's home defense. St. Louis are kind of a mess right now. They're getting some decent results, but they're down a lot of players, and it seems like there's some kind of upheaval in the locker room. I really like Steve Clark this week for sure. Let's talk Takaoka. So I'm going to pop Takaoka in S tier this week. I know that I have been very bad at calling clean sheets, predicting defensive outcomes this year, but I'm going to take a shot here. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I'm very sure, and I'm probably going to jinx it, but I'm very sure that Vancouver keep a clean sheet this week. At absolute worst, they're going to leak some kind of weird fluky goal to Austin, which is very possible, but Austin are going to be down Valencia. I know for sure, because he traveled to Venezuela or something, and there's some kind of visa issue, so he's not going to be able to play. Austin's road attack is still terrible. I know they played a great game against Houston. They played a great game against LA Galaxy. They're really settling into this kind of counterattacking identity that is really working for them right now. I do think that is a lot more effective at home than it is away. That goal that they got at Houston was pretty fluky. But traveling all the way up to Vancouver without Valencia, and Driussi has that thing with turf. He hates turf, won't play on it. He might play like an hour. He might come off the bench. I don't know. But either way, I find it very hard to see Austin scoring a goal. This Vancouver defense is really good. Very, very solid. And Austin have been getting their chances scoring their goals recently off the counter. Vancouver are a team that's very difficult to counter against. They play a lower block. They've got the line of 3 back there. Austin are going to get those same chances. I think this is a very, very good matchup for Vancouver. I really think they keep a clean sheet. This is the strongest I felt about any clean sheet result this year. Even more so, way more so than Charlotte a few weeks ago when I tripled Charlotte. I'm very confident in the Vancouver clean sheet. I'm willing to hang my hat on it. I think Takaoka is an S tier option this week. Freeze, I think, is probably a good option as well. They do play after Vancouver, so if you want to put Takaoka on your bench, and then in case that doesn't work, keep Ruta Freeze, there you go. New York City's defense has been solid. They're definitely conceding more goals at Yankee than City Park right now. This next game is going to be at City, so they won't be giving up as many chances on the bigger field. They're playing Colorado. Colorado are kind of scary. I definitely, I was going to say out of Johnson, Clark, and Freeze, maybe I'm the least confident in Freeze, but I don't know. I could see all of them going anyway. I mean, predicting clean sheets right now is basically impossible. I think the last 2 weeks, 70% at least of clean sheets have been on the road. Super weird. But Freeze, I think, still a good, solid option. Let's get on to defenders. Brooks Lennon, S tier option, think is the best defender in the game. Made off with 8 points last week. This week they are hosting Minnesota at home. I actually think Minnesota are going to be a pretty tough challenge. I don't know how Atlanta are going to fare with a very high pressing team like that. And Ramsey has been pretty clever with how he set up his teams recently anyway. But it doesn't matter. I mean, Lennon has, like the best floor of any defender now, pretty much. What else can you say? The only thing with Lennon is he's pricey, but I truly think he's worth it. I've got Halsey here from Cincinnati. One thing is, though, very recently, like just about like right before I started recording this video, it seems like Yedlin picked up the injury last week. It was an off-ball injury, I think. Maybe that's wrong, but he had an injury that looked kind of bad. But apparently he was back in training today. Halsey came off the bench for Yedlin last week, and I think if Yedlin doesn't play, there's a good chance that he will start. He's only $4 million. He also got 4 points last week, which is pretty impressive. If he starts at $4 million away at Orlando, he's going to get some chances to go forward. He's a very attacking wingback. I really like him this week if he starts, especially for the price. Toss him on your bench, $4 million. That's excellent value. But if Yedlin's back, then it doesn't mean anything. So just keep an eye out for that. This is one of my maybe more out on a limb punts this week. I'm going to put Kessler in fun punt. Kind of same category as Ivicic a little bit. I like the matchup for New England. If New England can keep a clean sheet ever, Kessler's going to get at least 8 points. His bonus points are very good. Very good. He gets a lot of passing bonus points. I mean, New England keep a lot of the ball. They're one of the highest possession teams in the league. So Kessler, I like a lot. I like a lot. He's got a decent floor as long as New England don't concede twice at least, which is tough. But I like this matchup for him. He's like 6.7 as a bench play. I like him this week. What can I say? Mikael, I'm going to drop down from S tier to good option. Of course, the 1 week that he drops less than a 4 is the week that I start him. But he's still one of the best performing defenders in the game. It's a good matchup at home for Houston. Definitely a very good option. And he's more affordable now, too. Because he's dropped in value down to, I think, near 7. Veselinovic for Vancouver, going to go in the S tier category. He is expensive, but I think he's worth it. He's a bonus points monster. He's a set piece threat. I think he's going to get a lot of touches against Austin. If they keep a clean sheet, it's 10-pointer, hopefully. Blackman also from Toronto. I think actually I'm just going to put him S tier too. I'm all in on Toronto, excuse me. I'm all in on Vancouver this week. Tristan Blackman actually is only like, I don't remember what the average is, but in total, he only has like 1 or 2 less bonus points than Veselinovic. They're both putting up big numbers right now, getting a lot of touches on the ball. I mean, basically any Vancouver defender who's guaranteed over an hour is an S tier option for me this week. I don't have like Raposo on here. Sam, I think Adekugbe is his name. Any of the other wingbacks, because their minutes are very suspect. They're getting subbed off a lot before 60 minutes. I just wouldn't risk it. I think it's worth paying for Veselinovic or Blackman. And then Laborda, too. Laborda's like $7 million. I think he seems to have locked down that third center back spot over Utvik right now. So he's also a really good option, but he's not getting near as many bonus points as Blackman or Veselinovic are. So, again, I really like them. I think they're pretty much S tier options. So, Thiago Martins did have his bell rung pretty bad at the end of the New York game last week. It was kind of a scary scene, but apparently in the locker room afterwards, he was like celebrating and up and fine. So, hopefully he'll play this week. I wouldn't be surprised if he's listed as questionable going into the game on Sunday. But, again, if he plays, he's a very good option. His bonus points floor is really, really good. Definitely a big fan of him in the game right now. He's definitely one of the best defenders you can pick from. I've got Katranis from Salt Lake as a fun punt. He did score a goal last week. He is a very attack-minded wingback, playing pretty high up the field. He is 7.5, not a bad price. His bonus points aren't really there for me, I guess, to pop him into good option or be super interested. But if you want a shot at a goal contribution and some good attacking touches, there you go. Definitely a fun pick from Salt Lake. And they do have a decent home game against Sporting Kansas City. We'll say Kansas City are kind of hard to shut out, but Salt Lake have been very, very good recently. So If you're feeling that, I say go for it. Pineda from Chicago is definitely a very budget-friendly option. He's only $4 million. I've talked up New England a lot, but New England are, I mean, let's face it, they're terrible right now. And it is a home game for Chicago. They have, or they did notch in a clean sheet against Atlanta. Really, that was just because Chris Brady had the game of his life. I mean, he was unbelievable. But for $4 million, that's great value. Great value for a home defender if you want to stick him on your bench and hope that Chris Brady just goes nuts again. Or, you want to bet against New England, which is not a bad bet. Walker Zimmerman, if he starts, probably fits more budget friendly. He's only 5.5 now, I want to say. If he starts, he's a great option. I think, well, it depends a little bit on how much Nashville are going to play the ball around the back. Maybe not a lot. We'll have to see, but I think Zimmerman could do very well in this new bonus point system that they have implemented this year. But he might not get quite enough touches to put up passing bonus points. I'm not so sure. Either way, if he starts, I think he's a fun, budget-friendly option. Like I said, cheap, decent matchup for Nashville. And he should also get some clearance bonus points too. He's integral to Nashville's defense, so I like him for sure. We've got Daniel Steres. We'll also stick him budget-friendly. A lot of budget-friendly options this week. He's playing for Houston. I think he might start at right back since Dorsey is suspended. He's only 5 point something or another. So if you want a cheap way to get into that Houston defense, there you go. Lovett's another budget-friendly option. Super cheap. He's 4.6 or something. He's playing at the left wing back spot. If you want to, you're clean sheet hunting, want to give Nashville a shot, there you go as well. Let's go ahead and get on to midfielders. Thiago Almada, probably going to put him in good option. Like I said earlier, Minnesota's, I think, are a tougher matchup than they might seem. But Amada's got a great floor. Definitely a really good option this week. He's really kind of settled back into form. Evander, I'm probably going to put him good option. It seems like he is going to play or start this week. He did sit out last week with what was just, as described by Phil Neville, a slight knock. So I'm not really sure what's going on with it. But I do think Neville indicated earlier today that he would be good to go. I know Evander's been, incredible this year. I think the lowest score he's put in is a 6 or 7. But, coming off the injury in an away game, and Portland I believe this is the statistic, the first team to score multiple goals in 3 or 5 games in a row and lose every single one. At some point, that has got to catch up with you and be demoralizing. I don't know if that happens this week. I think Evander's still a very good option, but I'm not quite feeling the S tier status at the moment, like I am for Lucho Acosta. I think Acosta's back, 100% S tier. He's very expensive. That's one thing I'll say. He is very pricey, but I think he's worth it. They're going on the road to Orlando. Orlando are in shambles right now. I predict their schedule next month is tough too. I think Pareja's days are very numbered. It's just a shame how Orlando has just not come to play this year. They're kind of a train wreck right now. So I do really believe in Acosta. Cincinnati's also getting Kevin Kelsey coming in. He's a big, very young. He's only 17 or something. Target forward. Cincinnati definitely will benefit from that. Bupenza is going to be out for a little bit. Not that it really matters all that much. He got straight up benched. And Kubo's been playing very good up there, helping connect the ball to Acosta a lot more. So I think Cincinnati's offense is on the rebound, and Acosta's just the guy. Tillman, I think I'm torn between good option and fun punt. He's probably a little bit of both. He's not super expensive. He's 10.1, I want to say. I really like him this week. I just like the matchup for him. It is LAFC away at San Jose. San Jose are still not good. I say still. They got a point on the road against one of the other worst teams in the league right now. But they didn't concede more than once for the first time this year. So that is big for them. But I do really like Tillman this week. He's getting a lot of goal contributions this year. He's putting up some decent BPs. I'm just feeling him. I'm feeling him this week quite a bit. I think if you want to punt on Tillman, I think that's a great idea. Espinoza, I'm going to stick in maybe, but probably not. I know that pretty much despite the result. He's been putting up points recently. I'll just say, kind of for the same reason I'm feeling Tillman, I'm not feeling him this week. I'm just not feeling it. Maybe San Jose and LAFC does produce fireworks. I'm not so sure. I kind of, I'm more so feeling an LAFC kind of dominant win. But, Espinoza, like I said, has been doing very well recently. If you want to take him, do it. I'm not feeling it as much. Not feeling it as much. Mukhtar, I think, is he's probably fits into a little bit into good option, fun punt, and budget friendly. As far as kind of higher status midfielders go, he's only like 8.6. I want to say. I mean, that's pretty good. I'll probably stick him. I'll move him to budget friendly. For that high type of high end midfielder, he's as cheap as they come right now. Nashville do have a home game, like I talked about earlier. It's a good matchup for them. I don't really have a ton of confidence in their offense, but for the price, I think Mukhtar is a good option. We'll see how he does. Here's a very, very budget-friendly option. Fidel Barajas from Real Salt Lake is only 5.8. If he starts, of course. He's been starting recently. He started last game. I think there's a good chance he'll start again. For 5.8, he's been getting some goals, getting some assists, getting the ball in very dangerous spots. He's not putting up like any bonus points. So I would say, if you need if you've put all your money in your starting lineup and you need, you just want to punt on a budget mid, stick him on your bench. Do not start him. Do not start him under any circumstance. Excuse me. But, there's a chance he gets an assist or something. Ryan Gauld, I think, is a very good option this week. I talked about Vancouver defensively. I think it's a good matchup for them offensively as well. Their offense has really been firing, and I think Fafa Pikal will be back this week. He's been integral to everything they're trying to do this year. I will say Austin's set-piece defense is good. So Gauld getting those assists from corners and stuff maybe isn't quite as likely, but he's still a very good option. Decently priced as well. Santi Rodriguez is also a good option, maybe deserving of S tier status right now, to be honest, but I'm going to stick him in good for now. He's in red hot fire form. Colorado, we'll have to see what happens. So I'm not quite as high on Santi as maybe a lot of other people are this week. Santi's kind of been drifting onto the right wing a lot recently, almost playing just that straight up winger role some. And Colorado do load up a lot on that side, as Sam Vines is a very good defender. But it's probably more likely that Santi's just been doing that to exploit the matchup. He probably has license to just free roam, so he's really a good option. I think that reservation for me is probably not well founded. I'm gonna say Paintsville. I know a lot of people are very high on Paintsville this week. I'm gonna say I'm not really feeling it. Seattle, I know they've been very poor recently. They did get a shocking win against Philadelphia away, but LA Galaxy won't have Ricky Pooch because of yellow card suspension. I think almost against Austin, they did it more than I've ever seen them doing. They are so reliant on Ricky Pooch. He operates exactly like a point guard in basketball. I mean, it's crazy. When they have the ball around the midfielder in their own half, every pass or movement they do is with the one goal of just getting the ball to Ricky Pooch so then he can move it forward, just like handing it off to the point guard. I've never seen a team do it as much or rely on it as heavily as the Galaxy do. I really think without Ricky Pooch, they're going to struggle. He's just so important to the way they're playing right now. I'm not sure how they're going to handle it. I do see what people are saying about Paintsville. The upside is there, and he's going to get a lot of action. A lot of touches in dangerous spots. But I think Galaxy are going to really struggle without Pooch. So I'm going to say I'm not feeling him this week. Rusnak is, I'll say budget-friendly option. He's not I feel like only a few weeks ago he was like 6.8. He's up to 8 point something now, I think. Maybe 8.4, maybe a hair lower, but he's a guy who's very important to what Seattle are trying to do. Their offense has improved quite a bit recently. Galaxy's defense has been really poor recently, so I see the upside in taking Rusnak this week, and he's decently priced for what should be a high-end midfielder, so decent option for sure. for sure. I've got Hector Herrera here. I'm gonna put him in fun punt if he starts, of course. If he ends up on the bench against St. Louis, then don't do it. But I really think with the bonus points system, with the point scoring changes, Herrera's going to be a guy who really profits from that. The spots that he gets touches in, delivering in lots of crosses, key passes, just normal passing bonus points. I think he's going to get a lot. I really do. He's like 7.7, I want to say, too. I think this might be a week or two early on him because I don't know if he starts how many minutes he's going to go. But I do think he's a fun punt for the bench. I've got Gomez from Salt Lake. I'll stick him in fun punt. I think he's also not too badly priced. He's like 9.4, maybe 9.6. Kansas City's defense has been terrible recently. Gomez is a very dangerous winger, getting a lot of good touches in dangerous spots, delivering a lot of crosses into the box. I really like Gomez. He's having a great year, so I think he's a fun, a fun option to take a swing on. Gazdag. I'm not sure how I feel about Gaz. I haven't taken him yet this year. I've been a little apprehensive about him, to be honest, and he's been on great form recently. Philadelphia play DC United. DC's home form is not great, and their home defense is not great. Their defense in general is not great. But Philly are coming off the kind of double game week with the Seattle result not going in their favor. They're 2 home losses in a row now, and there's some locker room problems. It seems like Andre Blake is whining on Twitter about not playing, even though he clearly cannot perform with his injury right now. They should have benched him over the weekend, and not that Semley is any good at all. But Blake is, and yes, I'm salty because I took him the week they subbed him out for the injury, and then he started next week. He hasn't been good anyway. So there's my Andre Blake rant. But anyways, Gazdag, I'll just call him a fun punt. I think he's a fun punt. He's been very good this year. Been hitting the back of the net a lot recently, and it's a decent matchup for them. But I don't know. Maybe I do want to put him in maybe. I'm going to put him maybe, but probably not. I don't. The vibes in Philadelphia are bad right now. They're not good. I'm going to put him maybe, but probably not. But if you want to take a swing at him, then I don't blame you. Hill, I haven't seen anybody else take him yet. On Discord, I don't think at all. I think he's a good option. I really do. Like I said earlier, I like the matchup. I think New England's going to get a lot of the ball. He had a great game last week. His floor is just so high. You cannot convince me that he's going to get less than 4 or 5 points this week, no matter what happens. So I just really like the floor. He is pricey, but I think he is a very good option. Lewis Morgan, I'm going to stick him in maybe, but probably not. I'm not feeling him this week. I know last game against Miami, he put up 3 goals and destroyed them, but they didn't have Messi. They were down a lot of their defenders. It's this game is home in Miami. It's basically a different team. And that game, too, where Morgan decimated them, they didn't have Forsberg. When Forsberg's in, they're more, a team that's attacking by committee. It's not like Morgan's getting all the touches. I'm not feeling him this week. I've seen a lot of people take him as a punt. I'll just say straight up, I'm not feeling him. Chicharrongo is S tier. He's basically the most informed player in the league right now. He is just so important to everything that Salt Lake do. They have a very good home matchup. You would be crazy not to take him this week. It doesn't matter what his price is. You got to take him. He's a lock. Messi, Suarez. Suarez, I'm not so sure how to feel about this week. I see New York have a pretty solid defense, and Suarez is pricey, and there's a lot of good forward options. You only get 3 of them. I might just stick him in fun punt because I'm very high on Suarez in general right now. He's been playing very well recently. I'll probably just stick him in fun punt. I think there's probably just a handful of better options. But I do see it. But I do also see that New York's defense is solid. So maybe. Bouanga, S tier. I know. So the thing with Bouanga, and it's this pattern is perfect so far. Is he's good at home, he's terrible away. I'm willing this week to say that I don't think that's going to factor in. It's kind of the same with Hill. I think Buonga's floor this week is going to be crazy high. He's going to get so many touches against San Jose. So many coming off that wing. I am not going to be convinced that he's going to get less than 5 or 6 points. And that's assuming he doesn't score or assist, which he has done all year on the road. But I think San Jose is the right matchup to buck that trend. I'm very high on Buonga this week. Giacomakis, probably stick him in fun punt. I don't think he's quite a good option this week. I think he still needs to work his way back from injury to elevate his status. And Minnesota are going to be a little tricky, but it is a home game for them. And if he plays more than just an hour, then I definitely see it. And I like the value of it. He's a little bit cheaper for those high-end forwards. He's like 10 point something. So definitely a fun pick. Brian White, I'm not sure what I want to say about Brian White. He's either a good option or a fun punt. I would say he's a good option as a bench play. Maybe, I'll probably just stick with fun punt. I think that makes more sense. The problem with Brian White, I said this, we were chatting earlier this week on Discord about, I asked what was the best player that you think you'll never take this year. And my answer for it was Brian White. I don't like goal-dependent forwards. And Brian White is like the most goal-dependent starting forward in the league right now. He doesn't get any bonus points. Not even shooting bonus points. He doesn't get them. Barely anything. He is finding the back of the net quite a bit, though, in prolific form. And he could very easily score against Austin for sure. I love Brian White. Like, outside of fantasy, I think he's an amazing striker. But in fantasy, the problem is if Brian White scores a goal, you're getting 7 points. Okay? If he doesn't, you're getting 2. Like, just compare that to like Buonga. If Buonga doesn't score a goal, he's getting like 4 or 5. If he does, it's double digits. That's the problem with Brian White and with goal dependent forwards. I'm going to take the guys who are getting bonus points over them every day. But I see the matchup. He's in good form. If you want to punt on him as a bench play, I think, then there you go. Maybe hope he gets a brace. But even, a goal of 7 points, nothing to laugh at. Kerwin Vargas, I'm sticking in here again. Last time I popped him in here, he didn't do anything, but he's very cheap, and I wanted to find like one super cheap forward to have in here. He's like 5.8. He's been doing okay especially for the price. On bonus points, got a goal again last week. I do think this week he's going to get some good touches. Who are they playing? I know it's a good matchup because I remember clocking it earlier. Oh, Portland. Oh, yeah. I mean, especially that right. He's playing off the left wing. That right side of Portland's defense is especially weak. So if you want to, if you need like one really budget forward option, I really like Vargas this week. I think is a fun option there. Pancake, I think I'm going to elevate him to S tier status. He has a great floor in this game. He just gets enough shots and stuff to put up those bonus points. Scoring quite a bit, and Philly's defense has been very poor recently. So you can't bet against him scoring. He does miss a lot of chances. He's kind of hit or miss, but he's up there in that upper echelon of forwards right now, having a really, really good year. I think Carranza is maybe a fun punt. I don't know. He probably isn't quite a fun punt, but he's close. Like I said earlier, DC's defense isn't great. If you're looking for like a super differential forward, I guess there you go. He did not look especially good against Seattle, but probably not. Probably not. Last player for the tier list, last forward, is Owusu, who is in very good form for Toronto. He scored 2 goals last week. I think he's scored the week for that as well. He's red hot right now. He is a guy who's not putting up any bonus points. But, it's a good home matchup against FC Dallas. If you think he's going to score, there you go. I think stick him on your bench. Actually, really, he's probably makes more sense as a budget-friendly pick. He's still pretty cheap, and he's going to price rise, so the time to get it on him, if you want him, is probably now. So there is the tier list. Here's what we're looking at for this week. Let's go ahead and get onto my team and put it all together. So once again, as was the case last week, money, budget is an issue. So I'm going to there's a couple bold plays that I'm going to try to make. I talked about big time earlier. Obviously, I'm taking Takaoka very high on him this week. I'm going to take Veselinovic, and I'm actually going to stack a full Vancouver defense. I just have a hard time seeing them not keeping the clean sheet. And, even then, like, forget the clean sheet. Like, this is the perfect congregation of the strategies for me. Like I said, I'm not clean sheet hunting anymore, but Blackman and Veselinovic are guys who are putting up big bonus points, big time bonus points. For BP hunting and clean sheet hunting, it's the same for Vancouver this week. I'm very high on Vancouver's defense. I like those options quite a bit. I'm going to take Brooks Lennon, of course. He's just the guy I take all the time. Upside, floor, all of it. Pancake's really digging on the couch right now. Lennon's the guy. And then St. Louis have the bye week, or not St. Louis, excuse me. Columbus have the bye week. So if you want scrubs, there you go. Although they don't, there's a lot of players they don't have. Man, Pancake's really going at it. Pancake, stop. Thank you. Lost my train of thought. So if the bye week team doesn't have any 4.0 guys, just go to the last matchup of the week and just stick 4.0 defenders from those games on there, and then when the lineups come, just make sure those guys aren't on the bench. So Hawkins is going to be that guy for me this week from Seattle. Midfielders, let's take a look. Acosta for sure, a lock. I am very high on Carlos Hill this week. I don't think I can say no to him, to be honest. I can't say no to Almada at home either. I like him for sure. I think Santi is just in too good a form to ignore as well, so I'm going to take him as well. Getting on to the forwards, obviously Messi is the lock. Arango is a lock. And then this last forward spot, I've seen arguments for Gigi, Benteke, Buanga, and Suarez even a little bit. I think Buanga has the best floor. So I'm taking Buanga. I'm just going to hit autofill right here because you're about to see a little bit of an issue that is coming up with the way I'm building this team. Okay, never mind. I just realized, is this how I wanted? I guess this. Okay, so I want to start Messi, Arango, and Buanga no matter what. Obviously, I'm going to cap Messi. I mean, there's no reason to captain anybody else right now. I want to start Buanga and Arango for sure. I want to start Amada for sure. I'm very happy. I'm fine starting Santi because he plays so late. I want to start Acosta for sure, and honestly, I'm totally fine starting Hill because his floor is so high. I'm starting the Vancouver guys, and then I'm starting Brooks Lennon. So that does not leave a lot of money for my bench. When I did this earlier, when I was messing around my team earlier and trying to put bench guys in, it's only 20 million for my bench. So I think I'm going to roll the dice and not keep Rue again this week. Because here's what I want to happen. So I've got 2 sub-defender spots, right? So I can just take punts on like really cheap guys, okay? Vancouver plays at 9:30. So 7:30 defenders, I think is cutting it too close. I got to pick 6:30 guys, right? Who are in my price range. So I think earlier I took from FC Dallas, I took Tumasi. I mean, I think there is a chance that Dallas keep a clean sheet. I don't think it's a good chance. But he's only 4.7, and he got a big score last week and a decent score the week before. He is going to price rise. And honestly, I'm getting annoyed with how much my budget has been constricting my picks the last couple weeks. So I think I'm just going to stick him in there just because, like, why not? I want to take, like, Pineda from Chicago as a cheap option, but again, I'm not going to risk it with that game time. Most of the other 6:30, like, dirt cheap defenders, there's really not any good options. It kind of seems like Halsey isn't going to start anymore for Cincinnati, but I'm just going to stick him there for now and just hope that he does because for a budget, defender punt, like, he would be perfect. So that only leaves me with 11.3 million. So the cheapest goalkeeper from those first games is yet again William Yarbrough. At least 7.3. So actually, I could probably go a little bit higher than Yarbrough. Honestly, I might. These last 2 spots are just who's the cheapest starting from here. I mean, Bono's not that expensive. Semley, I guess, will probably start for Philly, right? I mean, there's Crepeau. I don't like any of the early early goalkeeper options, to be honest. To be honest with you. Um, I like Yarbrough maybe the least of all. I might like. I want to me of. I don't know. I'll tell you straight up. I have no idea who I'm gonna put for my early goalkeeper option. It should just be somebody cheap, and I don't really want to risk him losing any value. So Yarbrough literally can't use value. So I might just leave him there for now. That leaves me 7.3 for a mid. So here's one idea I had with this. If Halsey or Tumasi hit, then I can scrub Blackman or Veselinovic. And then this last mid spot, I could actually upgrade it to Galt. And then if Galt hits, I can scrub Santi. So I don't want to pick a midfielder from a game before Vancouver. So obviously that only leaves 4 games. So I can pick a mid from 1 or 2 games, 4 teams. So I can pick a mid from one of those games. Or, I mean, also Vancouver and Austin, I guess, too. But, you know, I got to pick a late game mid for 7.3. Let's see who's available. And well, I guess actually, if I wanted to make, actually, it couldn't be from the New York City game, because if they hit, I would want to be able to scrub Santi. So actually, it has to be a midfielder from Austin. So like, I'm probably just want to pick somebody. To be honest, I don't really expect him to do anything. The options are terrible. O'Brien scored last week, so his price is going to rise. I'm having a big price rise week, I guess, right now. So this is the team I'm going with. This is by far the worst bench I've put together this year, but really all the money is in the starting lineup. I think that is just about going to do it for me and Pancake. I hope that you have maybe a better time putting together your benches and teams than I did, although I am very confident in the starting lineup. I want to wish all of y'all the best of luck this coming week. Hopefully I want to see some high scores and see some of y'all hit big on some gambles. Please, again, if you're willing, like, subscribe, even comment. I do really appreciate it, like seeing that kind of stuff on the videos. It does make me feel good about doing it. Help the FMLS gods favor your teams. Bless y'all with good bonus points and some goals. Best of luck, and I will talk to y'all again next week.